Something that has made my base very distinct from everyone else's on the server AutCraft is that it is very old and differs wildly throughout. But due to that factor, there has always been a balancing game as to what to change and what to not. Even though my positions on it have shifted over time, for the most part, more and more things have changed as the years went by, but still there was a lot of stuff which was left alone. This has made certain areas of the base from feeling alright to being completely outdated. This has also made it so that there are many areas of the base that desperately need renovations. This is the beginning of the brand new series here to the present, and in the first episode, we will be focusing on the dock. This is how it used to look like, and this is how it looks now. This is how my dock got renovated, all of the new perks, and how it will affect the evolution of my forever base. This is the state of the dock as it is right now before the video. It is very messy, has lots of unorganized blocks, and to be frankly honest, is pretty ugly. It is one of the oldest areas of the base, with the areas starting to form around 2016. The current structure has 3 different walls, first being around the small area under the bridge, the diorite barriers being an extension of that, and the current walls at the perimeter of the base. As I played on here for longer and longer, I wanted to keep more boats, and my base was getting larger and larger. The area of the surface around it became complete in 2024, and the first floor underground was done around 2025. But the bottom of it has only been barely started, and even there, the only area is connected to the same area as the wall above it. There is very little depth around the area except for intrusive enclaves on the surface. The dock floor does not have the new sea blocks from the ocean update, or in other words, 1.13, and most obviously of them all, blocks. Many different random blocks. I want to rectify all of these problems and add more, such as rooms with new mechanics that involve the ocean or other related things to make a new, modernized dock. Now, the first section was actually completed unintentionally, as I was just building in the area, and that was what caused me to come up with this video idea. It started with me wanting a pen for one of the new Nautiluses. Granted, when I get one, since I haven't updated the game yet, it would function like a horse stable, but in the water. Yet due to it being underwater, it had its own challenges, and most of them revolved around the door. Unless I spammed fence gates, I needed to use a redstone door, which had other unique challenges. The most obvious one was that it's underwater, and a lot of redstone blocks, including dust, torches, and repeaters, or like the most important redstone blocks, cannot be exposed to water. This also extended to how to open the door due to both buttons and levers also not being able to be placed in water. And lastly, I need to be cautious with the door itself so that there isn't any infinite water issues when it opens and closes. The solution to these problems included a note block with an observer attached to it, which I can just click to open the door. The door is only 1 block thick, which causes the infinite water sources to regenerate, and I only did redstone underneath it. Now, this was easier said than done, and this took me a long time to try to wire, and also it has been destroyed multiple times by stray leaks, but that's besides the point. The door generally worked as having an observer and a redstone line connected to both note blocks, both of them combining together to 1 pulse extender, and them separating again for both sides of the door. It was the first building on the bottom of the dock, being next to the gigantic area reserved for a future storage system. You'll notice that I connect or build next to it quite a few things here, and this is very intentional. This also encouraged me to finally build a conduit around my base, which I put on the area that used to be on the slope of the island that is now engulfed inside of the base on the far south side. This is also the same island that the obelisk is on top. This will move in chapter 2 and will be replaced with a different building, but the design is still the same. This also made me flatten the entire area due to there not being any significant depth in terrain anymore, and those 3 things are what encouraged me to renovate the entire area and make this video. Now that I had a conduit to help build underwater, this encouraged me to start renovations. This first step will work solely on the very bottom of the area, with one exception, which we'll get to in a second. The first step is to create a dividing line between the dock and the ocean outside. Before, the floor was very similar between the two and there was nothing marking the boundary. This was something I wasn't even really thinking about when making the perimeter, so I basically just settled for close enough. So I made a marking that was a line of best fit. But I wasn't satisfied with just that, as I wanted there to be a depth difference between the two areas. So I made a 2-block tall module made out of puff with a pale oak log frame on top, almost like a miniature version of the general perimeter. I also puffed out tough area a few blocks inward to add even more depth, but I wasn't exactly sure how far I was going to do that yet. I also decided around this time that I would use tough a lot more in the area underwater than in most areas around the base. Mainly this is due to some building and texturing reasons, but this would end up just making the area just look a bit better. This was also around the time that I moved the conduit. I realized that the area it was in could have been utilized much better. So I looked on the floor to see where it would fit best, and this is when I realized that it would fit perfectly south of the Nautilus stable, in between that and the border, and also give a few blocks to make the border more solid, for a lack of a better word. The rest of the floor was much harder to decide what to do with, as it is uneven, which was intentional, and there weren't really any more things that I could do at the current moment related to underwater stuff. Also, a lot of underwater utilities I had were in the turtle sanctuaries, so things like a sea pickle farm or areas for turtles were all covered. I made one main area with it, and this is the one with the light blue terracotta, and I added certain pockets of different blocks in the rest, such as this tiny andesite stair one and this tiny sea lantern one. This part will not have a use as of the time making this video, and to end off the section, I added foliage all over the place. This included seagrass and kelp, which the kelp will eventually be trimmed short, and these glow-lichen vine clusters all around the area. Sea pickles were also scattered for sea lighting. But there was one thing on the surface that I did do here in this section, and that was creating this new building where the conduit used to be. You might notice that is divided in two different sections and looks like a boat elevator. And that is because it is a boat elevator. This will lead to an underground boat garage, which will have a massive capacity. This is a solution that I've made for having too many boats in the dock at once, and you will see more in Chapter 5. Chapter 3 now, and the 4 was mostly done. But there was one area which I had not done yet, and that is the micro dock in the corner. It is much shallower than the rest of the dock and has a bridge over it. I remember when I was building this area and the bridge in 2016, I was so proud of it, but a decade later, it is messy and frankly was unimpressive. I first evened out the area directly underneath, which was easier said than done, trying to preserve the balcony underneath. According to that, the room was also turned into an underwater balcony that could be accessed from underground, but keeping with the same theme of the room which used to be there. I adjusted the shape of the mini dock to make it more square, and I also put a temporary stone brick rim on the side which faces the door. But the biggest task definitely was the bridge that I was hinting at. Not only would this bridge be a prototype for the pathways all across, but I wanted to have a general upgrade. Building has evolved massively since then, and many new blocks have been added. So I just started by just building the same thing, but with stone bricks. Then I tweaked it a bit, and then a bit more, and then even more. And this is the result. It looked weirdly large at first, but I eventually got used to it. The pathway is a stone brick slab in between two polished andesite stairs, which would probably be a prototype for pathways that we'll make in a future video. The pillars on the corners are made out of acacia logs. The andesite puffs out to the outside on both sides using stairs, and the fence on top is made of pale oak trapdoors on top of shelves. I will end up using this combo of blocks a lot in this new design, which I will get to in a bit later. Another added benefit of this is that shelves are slightly larger than trapdoors, so it is super easy to climb up. Another nice thing is that due to the shape of the bridge, it creates an optical illusion that it is separated from the main section, which being attached there was another problem I was worried about. The bottom is pretty similar, but there are a couple of sea lanterns, and the original barriers were replaced with thin, smooth stone columns with copper trapdoors on both of their sides facing inward. Now it's Chapter 4, and it was time for the surface. I like the idea of trapdoors on top of shelves so much that I made most of the walls like that. The jumping mechanic also works when getting out of water, which made it super efficient. I also had to decide how it would be shaped, and I decided on this blobby asymmetrical one. This might seem stupid at first, but this will allow more places to put boats in and will generally look better with the patterns that I have been using for the guardrails. All of these areas vary from at least what the normal border would have been to as far as 3 blocks out. In fact, the area in the top left corner, depending on how you view it, the area which is east of the bridge, that used to be an extension of the subscriber pyramid, but the reality was that there was nothing on it, so I decided to just sacrifice it and turn it into this new little module of the dock. These crevices will be the areas that boats, at least the boats on the surface, will be stored. There are 5 major ones which can hold up to 2 boats each, meaning that I can fit up to 10 boats on the surface at once before having to park them on the shelves or in the garage. When the depth will shift, I will divide them in with either acacia logs or pale oak logs, and for some of these divides that were particularly large, I decided to build these 4 lanterns, which hang over the seawater. By the way, it took so long to get a design for these that it wasn't even funny. The floor underneath the parking areas was usually tough with stone brick stairs leading into it as a smooth barrier. A fishing hut was also added near the border on the other side of the dock than the garage due to having extra space there, and also in these nooks on both sides between the walls and the attached buildings, I made them with roofs made out of daylight sensors. The one next to the fishing hut was larger and can be used to store stuff that I catch from fishing due to me not being able to hide much storage there. There were a few other minor things just to make the area look better, and also a tiny bit changed underwater to better fit these changes. The dock is more or less done, minus adding some items to the shelves for more depth and decoration. But there was one area that I still needed to do, and this was probably the longest chapter of them all. It is chapter 5. And even though this will be trimmed down to a nice 3 to 5 minute segment in this video, this section took well over 10 IRL hours to build. Some challenges included needing to drain lots of water, general base planning, design changes, and height limitations. The final design will be a massive 2-story design that can fit up to 44 boats on water, and many more on shelves, which to be exact was 18 for each boat that can fit. So in total, you could have up to 836 boats inside of the garage at once. And if you include the 10 above, it would be almost 850. A garage at this scale is borderline impractical, especially if you include the shelves. But that was the point. There was supposed to be so many slots that the chances of there being so many boat types released that will fill the entire thing in my lifetime will be slim to none, unless they made like a specialized drop for that. The general design is a central row that goes one way with many offshoots that go in either direction in long skinny tunnels at either end. The second floor was 3 blocks skinnier than the first, as the waterway is only one way there, and also due to other factors related to its location. The first floor had these walls, which help guide the boats around it in the designated order, and the bubble vader module on the side of the exit lifted boats up from the first to the second story. One of the hallways on the second story had this module, which documented where the boats were, and the one on the first floor facing towards the base had an entrance point to the giant empty room that will eventually be the new storage system. Compasses were also obtained with a lodestone at the eastern border of the world to be able to tell direction better. There were also similar markings on the surface, with the elevator symbolizing red as down and blue as up. But there was something else that I wanted to do. Even though we'll use the main dock most of the time, I wanted to have an underground canal system, which can bring me to every quarter of the base, in case certain parts get closed off due to future terraforming from other players. It also helped me that I still had a lot of room in the ocean underneath the far side of my base. The pathway first goes up, with the main way going left but an exit to the right, which is a tiny bit further east than the dock, but it's not a huge difference. If you go left, you wiggle a bit around the center, with the splinter passage which goes to the southeast corner. If you still go straight, you pop up another bubble vader to practically right below the surface, and it ends in a T intersection. If you go right, you pop up in the northeastern corner. If you go left, it drops a couple times and goes right next to the metro, going directly underneath my bedroom to pop up in the northwestern corner in a similar area as the old canal, which went through the peninsula. These two were connected while still having space to go outside, meaning you could end up going back to the dock if you went through the old canal and in between the base and the evil island. And this was exactly the intention. It was supposed to be a way to go to any side of the base regardless as to what happens outside of the claim. And the dock was finally complete. Even though I was hesitant at first, looking at it now, I am so glad I did this. I think it looks an infinite amount of times better now. Also, the building process took over 30 IRL hours, meaning that it took over 100 Minecraft days to build it. I could have made a video in that style, but I wanted to try something different and which is more similar to the content I already do on here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below for any feedback. And if you disliked the video, dislike it as well. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace out!